This case today exemplifies our working relationship, our resolve to go out there and touch bad guys anywhere. There's no more defeating us, again, by our jurisdictional boundaries. We're here to work together.
Federal agents in Chicago uncovered a staggering reality. A high-level figure within America's diplomatic framework was safeguarding the CJNG's fentanyl supply chain. Coordinated raids yielded encrypted files that revealed a single name, triggering a crisis in Washington. For months, federal analysts monitoring CJNG shipments throughout the Midwest noticed an inexplicable pattern. The drug flow was accelerating, money transfers were faster, and the chemical supply conduits were too flawless, too secure, too perfectly synchronized for a criminal group operating without external assistance. Then, one designation emerged in a deciphered CJNG communication: Long Meridian. Agents initially suspected a cartel financial officer. They were mistaken. After cross-referencing financial transactions, diplomatic shipping logs, and secure warehouse records, the DHS classified the discovery as a severe national security threat. Long Meridian was identified as Ambassador Zhen Wei-ming, the Chinese ambassador to the United States, a man who possessed full diplomatic immunity, secure transport routes, and unrestricted global communication. Within 2 years of his posting in Washington, fentanyl precursor imports had spiked by 430%, and 3 Chicago safe houses searched by ICE contained crates marked with Chinese diplomatic seals. These precursors, the essential chemical components for manufacturing fentanyl, are produced in China. This transcended a mere cartel lurking in America's shadows. It presented the possibility of a foreign state official actively facilitating one of the world's most lethal drug organizations within U.S. borders. For federal agencies, an inescapable conclusion solidified: Chicago was not merely infiltrated, it was being strategically managed. And the individual orchestrating the flow was not located in Mexico but seated at an embassy desk in Washington, D.C. If you wish to see the subsequent layer of this diplomatic cartel network unveiled, like and comment continue so this truth reaches a wider audience. As federal investigators scrutinized the evidence retrieved from the 5 CJNG locations, a much graver threat became apparent. What started as a cartel investigation unexpectedly revealed a foreign-controlled supply network operating inside the United States. Shielded by diplomatic privilege, the encrypted files recovered from CJNG servers indicated that Ambassador Zhen Wei-ming was not just involved, he was actively designing a system capable of sustaining cartel operations even under federal scrutiny. This was not a simple bribery plot, it was strategic infiltration. ICE intelligence mapped the structure: 23 shell companies across the U.S. linked by obscured ownership chains, embassy endorsements, and offshore financial accounts. DHS analysts labeled it the most sophisticated foreign-backed narcotics pipeline ever uncovered on American soil. 6 chemical import businesses in Wisconsin and Indiana brought in tons of mislabeled solvents. Lab tests confirmed high-purity fentanyl precursors destined for super labs. 3 logistics companies in Chicago, Houston, Los Angeles, and San Bernardino regularly received diplomatic consignments, bypassing all routine customs inspections. 7 machine part exporters reported almost no legitimate business yet transferred over $310 million directly into cartel finance centers in Guadalajara and Panama City. Then came the most disturbing find: internal embassy files. One memo, marked "Internal Use Only," outlined a strategy titled "Strategic Integration for Stability of the Chicago Corridor." The concluding directive read, "Ensure uninterrupted flow. Priority access for CJNG chemical partners is authorized." Ming had transformed Chicago, America's commercial nexus, into a protected cartel channel, safeguarded by a foreign ambassador operating under diplomatic cover. The peril was immediate and unprecedented. If one ambassador could build this complex network in 4 years, what else had gone undetected? How many more commercial partners were embedded in U.S. cities? How many other ports had been compromised? If this magnitude of foreign infiltration alarms you, type yes. Every comment further amplifies this investigation. At 4:03 a.m., a singular, crisp command cut across the federal radio network. Sharp against the pre-dawn quiet. All units advance. Multiple foreign actors confirmed. Secure all 5 targets. Move now. What ensued was not a conventional raid, but a coordinated federal strike. An operation executed with meticulous precision, designed to dismantle an entire logistics infrastructure before it could react. The initial armored vehicle advanced into Cicero like a steel barrier moving through the mist. ICE tactical teams formed a protective formation around a confined residential block. As agents neared the target residence, a lookout bolted from the side door carrying a rifle. A flashbang detonated before he could take aim, sending a shockwave down the street. Within moments, the perimeter was sealed. Inside, agents discovered heat-sealed bricks of fentanyl prepared for collection, still freshly stamped with the CJNG Eagle emblem. Across the city, DEA agents simultaneously breached the Bridgeview warehouse. Sparks erupted as the hydraulic ram struck the reinforced entrance. The interior was a labyrinth of false storage shelves concealing a chemical processing room. Vapors wafted from recently used glassware, confirming this was a processing lab, not just a storage location. A shot echoed from behind a metal barrier. Agents returned fire, moving forward under ballistic shields. The suspects only surrendered when the ram destroyed the dividing wall. Beneath a loose floor panel, they made the morning's first explosive discovery: containers marked with Chinese diplomatic seals filled with industrial precursors, identical to shipments linked to Ambassador Jen's companies. ATF teams encountered the fiercest resistance in Joliet. As agents cut through the gate of a trucking facility, 2 cartel gunmen opened fire from behind stacked trailers. The night illuminated with muzzle flashes. Federal teams advanced cautiously, utilizing armored shields to press forward until both shooters were subdued. In the trailers, they discovered assault rifles wrapped in oilcloth, serial numbers removed but later tracked to a weapons pipeline moving through Central America, connected to a CJNG enforcement unit. The final and most crucial target was Brighton Park. The FBI hostage rescue team approached silently, using drone surveillance to monitor exit points. When the breach command was issued, agents stormed the warehouse from 3 directions. What they found inside astonished even seasoned investigators. A hidden elevator led to a sub-level storage chamber. Rows of crates stacked with industrial precision. Inside, 5 tons of narcotics, 37 firearms, $76 million in ledgers, and a file labeled, "See Channel Line." The first page contained a direct payment log tied to Ambassador Jen Wei Ming. By 5:12 a.m., all 5 sites were secured. 106 suspects detained, with no civilian casualties. But the operation had revealed a far greater danger. This was not merely a cartel operation, it was a joint criminal diplomatic network. And its center of gravity had just been struck for the first time. If you want to witness how the federal counterstrike unfolds, drop Geo below and subscribe. Do not navigate away. The subsequent chapter is even more dramatic. The evidence from Brighton Park initiated a response unlike anything seen in recent federal operations. By 7:40 a.m., a secure conference call was in progress involving the Attorney General, DHS leadership, and senior FBI counterintelligence officials. The file retrieved from the sub-level chamber, See Channel Line, contained encrypted communications bearing the signature block of Ambassador Jen Wei Ming. For the first time in modern history, the United States possessed credible proof that a foreign ambassador was directly assisting a major transnational drug cartel. There was no time for delay. Federal leadership authorized Operation Emerald Gate, a classified mission designed to confront an unprecedented threat, a criminal pipeline protected by diplomatic immunity. The target was not the main embassy compound, which was protected by international treaties. Instead, intelligence pinpointed a commercial coordination facility 30 minutes outside Washington, technically an auxiliary office under embassy jurisdiction but not covered by full immunity protections. FBI counterintelligence units and SHE tactical teams moved with extreme secrecy. To prevent diplomatic alarm, the operation was kept off standard radio channels. Only hardened point-to-point encrypted devices were used. As the convoy approached the building, surveillance drones confirmed activity inside, lights flickering, servers being powered down, and 2 individuals moving rapidly between rooms. At 10:19 a.m., the strike commenced. FBI HRT deployed a flashbang at the rear service entrance. The shockwave reverberated down the hallway, scattering papers and triggering alarms. Agents pushed inside with precision. Shields raised, rifles prepared, commands echoing through the corridors. From the second floor came the sound of scraping metal and quick footsteps. A man attempted to escape via a side stairwell, clutching a hard drive wrapped in insulation foam. Agents intercepted him midway down. He resisted, kicking and swinging until he was forced to the floor and restrained. Inside the server room, 2 embassy-linked staffers had barricaded themselves behind reinforced glass. They had already begun a remote data purge. Thermal charge now. The door shattered under a small explosive breach, and agents flooded the room. One suspect lunged toward a console, another reached for a phone. Both were subdued within seconds. Then came the true shock. 12 servers, each labeled with internal embassy coding, were found actively synchronizing data to overseas destinations. Federal cyber teams severed the uplink cables before the transfer finalized, preserving terabytes of data. In a locked cabinet beneath the main console, agents discovered binders stamped with Chinese government insignia. Inside were detailed chemical procurement lists, transit schedules through Midwest warehouses, and a document titled, Chicago Corridor Stability Plan. The final page carried a typed directive: ensure uninterrupted flow. Coordination with CJNG finance team authorized. Signed Jen Wei Ming. By the conclusion of Operation Emerald Gate, 7 embassy-affiliated personnel were detained, and a trove of classified materials had been seized. The struggle inside the facility lasted less than 10 minutes, but it represented a historic breach. For the first time in decades, the United States had executed a federal raid on a foreign diplomatic outpost directly linked to a criminal cartel. And the consequences were only just beginning. Operation Emerald Gate had barely concluded when federal strike teams pivoted to the next phase. The data confiscated from the embassy shadow office didn't just expose a conspiracy. It unveiled a map, a sprawling network of 14 factories, warehouses, and import companies dispersed across Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana, each connected to Ambassador Jen's commercial web. These were not typical businesses, they were engineered nodes in a foreign-backed criminal grid, constructed to supply, protect, and fund CJNG's deadly operations inside the United States. The first target was a chemical processing facility in Kenosha, Wisconsin. On paper, it produced industrial solvents. In reality, it was the largest fentanyl precursor hub in the Midwest. At dawn, DHS tactical teams stormed through the main loading bay. As agents breached, barrels toppled and alarms blared. Workers scattered in panic, some attempting to flee toward the rear exit, others desperately hurling crates to obstruct the advancing agents. Inside the lab area, fumes saturated the air. Stainless steel vats bubbled with incomplete chemical batches. Federal chemists later confirmed the compounds matched the exact molecular signatures of Jen's imported precursors. In an upstairs office, agents found a hidden safe containing foreign passports, burner phones, and ledgers marked with coded initials used by CJNG finance cells. 30 miles south, a second confrontation erupted at a facility disguised as a vitamin manufacturer. Helicopter footage showed workers trying to escape through a side alley with duffel bags. DEA teams cut them off, shouting over the rotor wash. Federal agents compelled them to drop the bags. When the bags were opened, the truth was undeniable: compressed fentanyl powder, vacuum sealed and prepared for distribution. The operation had been running under the pretense of nutritional products for nearly 3 years. Shielded by Ming's diplomatic shipping lanes and commercial cooperation agreements. Further inside, agents located a concealed floor hatch. Below it was a confined workspace where technicians operated pill presses, machinery capable of manufacturing 100,000 fentanyl tablets every 8 hours. The most intense skirmish took place at a warehouse in Aurora, Illinois. The building served as the primary distribution point for Ming's shell companies, moving goods falsely labeled as machine parts. As FBI vehicles approached, 2 armed guards opened fire from the upper catwalk. Agents ducked for cover behind forklifts, returning accurate suppressive fire to neutralize the threat. A flashbang detonated near the loading docks, giving the team enough time to storm the interior. What they discovered shocked even seasoned investigators: shipping containers lined with fake machine casings, each concealing bundles of currency wrapped in embassy-coated waterproof sheeting. A cyber team seized computers still logged into international transfer accounts used to launder over $1.2 billion during Jen's tenure. By nightfall, all 14 locations were secured, dozens arrested, factories shut down, and millions in chemicals and cash seized. But the most alarming revelation was not the drugs or the money. It was the architecture of the system itself, a criminal diplomatic grid meticulously engineered to withstand raids, reroute shipments, and rebuild faster than traditional cartels ever could. This was not mere infiltration, it was an invasion, executed with the precision of a foreign state and the ruthlessness of a cartel. The raids across Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana had fundamentally destabilized the criminal infrastructure. But the genuine shock emerged after the immediate action subsided, as federal teams processed the massive volume of evidence seized from the factories, warehouses, and Jen's diplomatic network. A pattern materialized, one that extended far beyond the Midwest, suggesting this operation was merely the beginning. Inside the Aurora warehouse servers, cyber analysts uncovered a set of encrypted routing files labeled Tier 2 ports. When decoded, the names stunned the Federal Task Force: New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Seattle. Each location was connected to companies registered under shell subsidiaries of Jen's commercial network, and each had already received multiple diplomatic shipments in the months leading up to Operation Emerald Gate. Suddenly, the threat was no longer regional, it was national. By midnight, emergency briefings were in session in the White House Situation Room. Intelligence directors delivered a stark assessment. The United States had uncovered the most extensive foreign-backed criminal infrastructure since the Cold War. As the presentation concluded, FBI counterintelligence provided the most alarming detail yet. Several of Jen's shell companies received financial backing from state-owned Chinese entities, routed through Caribbean intermediaries. This was not a rogue diplomat. This appeared to be coordinated foreign influence, leveraging America's economy, supply chain, and immigration systems to empower a cartel responsible for tens of thousands of U.S. deaths. The president ordered the immediate expansion of the operation. Within 48 hours, the consequences turned violent when a DHS joint unit moved to secure a distribution center outside Atlanta linked to Ming's network. Cartel enforcers and foreign operatives attempted to destroy evidence before the strike team arrived. Agents encountered a burning storage unit, flames reflecting off chemical barrels stacked precariously. Two suspects raced toward a fleeing van. She tactical officers intercepted them in a brief but intense standoff. Inside the building, a room lined with heat-shielded walls held thousands of fentanyl tablets, some still warm from the presses. A second chamber concealed computer racks connected to international servers, the digital backbone of Ming's money laundering structure. News of the raid spread rapidly. Cable networks ran non-stop coverage. Senior citizens, already the fastest-growing victims of fentanyl fatalities, began calling legislators, demanding accountability. For many watching at home, the notion that a foreign ambassador could help flood the nation with poison was more unsettling than any cartel raid. Protests erupted outside Chinese consulates. Congressional hearings were scheduled within hours. Pressure mounted for a comprehensive diplomatic response. DHS released a severe public statement. This was not just criminal activity, it was structural infiltration through business, diplomacy, and international finance. The United States must treat this as a national security breach, not merely narcotics trafficking. And yet, behind closed doors, the task force knew the truth. The network Ming constructed was designed to regenerate, flexible, dispersed, and protected. Operation Emerald Gate had struck the core of the system. But the arteries still spanned across the country. The war was not finished, it had only just reached America's doorstep. What transpired in Chicago was more than a cartel takedown, it was a warning. A reminder that America's greatest threats do not always cross the border under the cover of darkness. Sometimes, they walk through the front door wearing diplomatic badges. The network tied to Ambassador Jen Wei Ming illustrated how effortlessly corruption, foreign influence, and criminal power can merge into a single system capable of poisoning entire cities while remaining hidden behind international privilege. And the simple truth is, if federal agents had not acted when they did, the Chicago corridor would still be pumping fentanyl, money, and influence directly into the heart of the country. This case demonstrates the critical importance of vigilance, not only from law enforcement but from every citizen who refuses to ignore the truth. If you believe these operations must persist, if you believe foreign-backed criminal networks must be exposed, if you believe the American people deserve to know the truth, then tap like, comment, expose, and share this video so more people understand what truly occurred in Chicago. Because this was not the end, this was the moment the United States finally comprehended that the battle was not just against cartels, it was against anyone, anywhere, willing to infiltrate this country from the inside. Stay alert, stay informed, and stay with me as we uncover the next chapter.